Olaf. And Rose is not with us right now because she's not feeling well. She has asthma, and so she's sleeping it off. So it's just the three of us instead of normally four of us. And we're going to do live time cooking. It's Oktoberfest, yes? So if I say it's Oktoberfest, you say yeah, right? Is it Oktoberfest?
Yeah!
Excellent. So we're going to do things a little backwards here because we're going to do this in real time. We need to plan accordingly. We know that the red cabbage takes the longest to cook. So we're going to begin doing that. So one of the first things that Risa has to do is she has to dice up an onion. And do you want Olaf to help with the bacon?
Yes.
So Olaf also has to dice up some bacon. They're going to be fried up together over a hot fire. Now, unlike your own stoves at home that you can turn up the heat or lower the heat, you know how we cool and heat up our oven? We add more wood or we take away more wood. So we need to make sure that that is very, very hot for us to use because we want to make sure that things are going. We also have a pot of oil for the Wiener Schnitzel. We have a pan of melted butter for the Wiener Schnitzel, and we have a pot of hot water with salt in it for the Spaetzel. So we have that all going on right now over our very, very primitive stove.
Yes.
Excellent. Oh, you forgot the salt, eh?
No.
Excellent. What would these children do without me, eh? So they're working very closely and hand to hand together. What they're going to do when she's done, we're going to add it to a cast iron pot, much like a Dutch oven. And we want to make sure that Olaf puts the bacon in first and not the onions first because the onions are going to burn if they don't because the pot is very, very hot. Nope, just the fat. Now the challenge with this is if you have a vegetarian, you can make this dish. You got to make sure you have enough olive oil to saute the onions because without the fat, everything's going to stick and it's going to get very, very bad very, very fast. We're using bacon in this because nobody here is a vegetarian and we all like bacon. Is there anybody else out here like bacon? Yeah. You say yeah. Yeah, excellent. You folks run fast. So now we got the onions and the bacon sauteing right now. And so what we have to do now is while that's being worked on, I'm going to ask Olaf to keep an eye on the bacon, the onions, and have him stir occasionally. And what Risa's going to do is she's going to dice up the red cabbage.
I thought I had to finally shred it.
Yes, well, you can shred it. I grew up chopping my red cabbage, so it's stringy. But what Risa has pointed out is that we're actually going to dice it so that it's a little bit finer. Shredded, excuse me. She also shreds differently than I do, but that's something entirely different. She's very opinionated. That's why she's my assistant, because she'll tell me I'm wrong. So we want to make sure it's a nice even cut because last thing we want to do when we make our red cabbage is we don't want things overcooked and things undercooked. So we want to make sure that it's all very uniform. And Risa's doing the best job she can.
We only have half an hour!
God, faster! She's a lippy one, isn't she?
Nothing new.
Nothing new. All the same, all the same. For Christmas, just remember Elsa cooked with like a larger cutting board for Christmas. We used to have one. I have no idea where it went.
I know.
Long one down there.
You got a long one? No, she wants a big one. We had a big one. Disappeared it. I don't like cutting on the table.
No.
All right, how's the bacon and onions? Is it frying nicely? Excellent. So what she's going to do when she gets that done, while she's chopping that, what we have off to the side is we have a cup of apple juice and a cup of red wine. We're using a Sauvignon Blanc with a Merlot mix. So we're going to combine those two with a quarter teaspoon of nutmeg that we actually hand shave, as well as about 6 cloves. Also what she's going to do, while she's doing that, I have to come over here.
Why are you leaving?
Because we need an apple.
Oh, fine.
Oh, fine. And what we'll end up doing is once she puts everything on, this will have to be peeled and quartered. We don't have to seed it because the seeds will float to the bottom. It won't be used. But the apple is also an important part of the dish. This is a Fuji apple. It doesn't classify what type of apple is needed, just something that will hold its own. Last thing you want to do is put a red Washington in it and have it just disintegrate.
You do want more of a sweet apple, but not ones that are traditionally used.
Yes. So you want a good baking apple? I like Braeburns. Let's put that on. Yes. We're running out of time.
I only have half an hour.
Hi, there. Put it all on. Now tell them what to do.
My other one is more lovely.
I know, but that's the one that's really done. All right. So she's going to add this to the onions, the bacon, and then what else do we have? We have the apple juice. We have the red wine. Olaf can actually cut up the nutmeg. You want to make sure that you're using a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, not a 1/4 nutmeg like Olaf thought. No, this is for the red cabbage. Because if you have a 1/4 nutmeg and you eat that, you will go blind. So we don't want to use that much. We only want a 1/4 teaspoon. Can you say with me? 1/4 teaspoon. 1/4 teaspoon. Say it again. 1/4 teaspoon. Excellent. That way you'll remember. You could also die if you have a 1/4 nutmeg. So we want to make sure. It kills your brain cells and causes hallucinations. And that's your brain cells dying. So you want to make sure that you're not over nutmegging anything. Excellent. So she's going to dump that in there. You already have the apple juice and red wine. Excellent. We also want to make sure if you see Risa's skirts, how they're shorter than a lot of the ladies out at festival. It's because the number 2 reason that women died during the Renaissance is they caught on fire from their cooking fires. And so we make sure that if she's cooking or I'm cooking, we make sure that our skirts are up high, because last thing we want to do is be put up like a torch.
That would not be fun.
That would not be fun. So she shows her bloomers like a saucy girl she is. So is the red wine?
It isn't.
Apple juice?
Indeed.
We got an apple peel.
I don't feel that.
All right. Then we're going to have Olaf start with a Spaetzel. Yes?
Yes.
Excellent. Now Spaetzel is a type of pasta. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with some flour. This is a really yummy pasta. It's interesting because it's different from an Italian pasta, because this will be soft like a brownie batter and it gets dripped in to hot boiling salt water. So it's a very different texture. So we're going to add about 4 eggs. We also need nutmeg. This is going to be only 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg.
Cabbage all over the night.
Yes, there is. That's all right. Don't need much. So he's going to start stirring this up.
Butter and salt?
And salt, yes. Butter, not yet. He wants to start mixing this together, and what he's going to do is he's going to start adding butter to it as he's mixing it. And he's also going to add milk. So, here we go. A little bit closer. Very good. You see it in the reflector, yes?
Yes.
You want to make sure he pops all the yolks. And then he's going to see how's that coming. You need more flour?
To make the hole in the middle bigger and bigger, to incorporate more and more of the flour into the eggs as you're stirring.
So about this time he's going to start adding some buttered chips to it. Instead of dumping the whole thing, he's going to add it gradually so it'll blend much easier. Luckily, despite our cold weather, it's a little softened from earlier today. Earlier today we had rock brick hard butter, which provided to be difficult at our 12:30. And what else is he going to add? He's going to add some milk to this, about a cup of milk. What we're looking for is a batter very similar to like a brownie batter. Because what we have is we have a colander that has very large holes in it. And as the water is boiling, we're going to add spoons at a time the batter. It's going to drip through the colander and right into the hot water. And it's going to cook very quickly. And then we're going to pull that off.
We should put a bay leaf in the cabbage.
Excellent. A bay leaf should go in the cabbage as well. But we want to make sure that we pull that off because it's a choking hazard if we don't.
Kill the butter!
Kill all the butter. that water?
It is simmering.
Excellent.
Let me turn up the fire.
All right, you turn up the fire. We're going to turn up the heat a little bit. We're going to do something what we call ashing. Instead of using a bellows, which many of you perhaps would think that we would use, what happens when you use a bellows, when you push the air out, it works great. But when you pull it back like this, it sucks air out. Works great in an oven. Works terrible on our stove. So we actually use a fan, so it's constant air getting to it. And that will increase the oxygen, which increases the heat. Yes, you can do that with a barbecue as well. How's that batter? Are we ready? All right. So, do we have the colander? Excellent. Reese is going to be kind enough and hold that. And all of us going to take the batter and bring it back over there. You saucy girl. Showing her underwear like that. Make sure the audience can see it. Yes, it is very exciting. You want to make sure that you're using a very large, cold colander. If you try to use one with a mesh, you're going to get a big mess. It's going to be very difficult to clean. So you want to make sure that you have one of the old-fashioned colanders for this. I'm sure it is. But at least you're not catching fire. Alright. While they're doing that, we are going to get ready for a Wiener Schnitzel. Now, a Wiener Schnitzel traditionally is made with veal, which gets to be very, very expensive. And also, I personally have an issue with using veal myself because of how the animals are treated. So I bought pork, which is another traditional way of making Wiener Schnitzels, as well as chicken. Now, I've already pounded out the pork and the chicken, but as Olaf will demonstrate, he's going to demonstrate how to pound out chicken. Okay, good. I was afraid he was going to make a mess. Yes.
Like they really need to be trained how to hit meat with a hammer.
You do. Sadly, you do. Now, we're using wax paper. I actually recommend using Reynolds wrap, not the tin foil, but the clear cellophane, because it holds a lot better than the wax paper. The wax paper will rip very easily. And so he's going to fold it over, and he's actually got it 4 ply, so it's 4 on the bottom, 4 on top for the wax paper. We use wax paper because we can actually throw it into the fire when we're done and dispose of it that way. So it's also important to know there's 2 parts of a tenderizer. There is the prickly part, and then there's the flat part. Don't use the prickly parts. And you're wanting to make things about a centimeter or less thin, so it's very, very thin. Quite a bit to go there. That was good. Now, if you do it with too much force, it's actually going to disintegrate it in some areas. So you want to make sure you're using an even tap. And I love Wiener Schnitzel. Absolutely love it. And we're actually going to prepare it in the traditional German style. So once he's got that prepped, it's actually pretty good. Excellent. So what he's going to want to do then is he's going to want to put some flour in a pan. So we've got flour right here. That's it. Those are breadcrumbs. You gotta go get flour. Do you want to take the pan? And so while he's there, we actually have stuff that I've already pre-prepped. So this is the pork. So they're nice layers, and what we're going to do is we're going to flour each patty first, and then we're going to dip it in egg. We're going to salt and pepper each side, then dip it in egg, and then we're going to dip it in breadcrumbs. What we're using instead of regular breadcrumbs is we actually ground up the breadcrumbs even finer, so that they're very, very extra fine breadcrumbs, because it'll show up a lot better. If we try to use big ones, they're just going to fall apart in the oil and make more of a mess. So he's going to take the chicken first, because that's going to be a little easier to manage. How's the oil, Risa? Excellent. Now, what she's doing is she's pulling out the Spaetzel with a slotted spoon, and she's putting it in cheesecloth to drain away the water because they'll be ready for serving.
Flour, egg, breadcrumbs.
So we go flour first. So we take away the patties, go flour it. We want to make sure it's completely covered in flour, and then we're going to salt and pepper it. My hands are smaller than his. Salt, okay, there we go. Then he's going to egg dredge it. And then he's going to roll it in breadcrumbs. And then he's going to repeat for as many as we want. This is a lot because this is our dinner tonight. Yes. Now, Spaetzel traditionally has breadcrumbs. So how about we wait for the breadcrumbs until we plate?
All right. Put this here now.
All right. You already got the salt? All right. So we'll continue this. He's going to egg those up and breadcrumb them because we're getting close. We're going to fry these up because there's another tradition. People will just think, oh, you just have to fry this up and that's it. And there's other steps added to this. So we're just going to begin with the chicken.
Once was a thin patty.
Yes. All right. Now, traditionally, when we make this with veal, it's usually about that big around, but because we're using chicken tenderloins, they're awfully smaller. They're going to be a little bit more manageable bite size. So they're nice and done. So let's go ahead and take those.
All right.
Fry. Then what we're going to do,
So the prolonged steak.
it actually takes about 2 minutes because they're pounded pretty thin. The thicker the pork or chicken is, the longer it has to take. This is almost paper thin. The pork we actually have to cook a little while longer because it is a little thicker. We're going to hold off. We'll cook up the rest later. We're just going to quick. You will need a lemon twist, a lemon half. There we go. Now, Wiener Schnitzel, a lot of finer restaurants will do a whole quarter of a lemon because it looks pretty. In traditional German restaurants, they actually serve with a half a lemon because one, you can remove the seeds a lot more readily, and also it's a lot easier for them to grip because no one wants to get lemon juice on a cut finger. And so it's a lot easier. So we actually use the whole lemon, put that off to the side like that. And I get that seed out of there. I'm picky. So we got these.
What?
Nothing.
All right.
And then once she's done frying it, there's one other step, and there's a fry pan that has melted butter in it. And so after frying the Wiener Schnitzel, what she will have to do is she'll have to dredge it through the melted butter before plating it. This has the authentic German taste to it. Traditionally, they would not use butter, they would actually use lard. And I don't know about you, I really don't want to eat more lard than I have to. I bet it is. Be nice, you too. I'll pull this festival over. That looks very nice. garnish too, we're gonna add some minced parsley. She's gathering that up. We're gonna begin plating everything. Yep, let's get the Spaetzel. There's only 3 here. And then the red cabbage. I would do the red cabbage first. So just take that back momentarily. The red cabbage has a very nice color and create a nice pop to the dish.
Alright, we cheated a bit. We started this a little earlier.
So one of the nice things about this show is how many of you watch the Food Network or PBS cooking shows? It's nice how everything is matched together in a half hour and everything is perfect. Yes, our show is not perfect. If we make a mistake, you get to see every piece of the mistake made. So if we burn the food, if Risa catches fire, or whatnot. Sorry. Thank you. Good thing I'm not gluten-free. So because of this, we have to time everything we do. And this whole show actually travels to other festivals, rendezvous, high schools, and colleges, and teaches people how they cook back then. Also teaches a little bit of authentic cuisine. Each run of the festival here at Minnesota, we do 33 different shows. No other show out here has that many shows that they do. So I just wanted to let you know of all the hard work that we do practicing these recipes, doing one that's for each themed weekend. At the end of our show, we actually do something called Pass the Hat. We'll have a basket. If you learned something from the show or you had fun at the show, please feel free to leave a gift of money in the basket as a tip or gratuity. If you leave a $5 tip, we have actually spice packets that you can take home with you to taste. We also sell copies of our cookbooks. I'm losing my voice, so I'm trying really hard to project as loud as I can. So she has the Spaetzel. It's done. She's going to plate it.
Put some breadcrumbs.
Oh, you already put breadcrumbs on it. All right. So we're going to add that.
That's one of the bloopers. I like that one better than catching on fire.
Hey, if it passes the hat, what the heck? All right, now we're going to add the Wiener Schnitzel. And you remember, this is the chicken that we did, not the pork. And then we'll put the lemon wedge. And that is an authentic German dish. Auf Wiedersehen! Yeah. Thank you very much. Feel free to come up, ask any questions you might have. We have copies of our cookbooks down at the end. We love questions. We love our fans. Please come up, stump the cook, play games with us. We do it. We do just about anything as long as it's legal. Thank you very much. Have a great day.